Now that a lying, fascist, blowhard reality TV star is set to be inaugurated as President of the United States, the U.S. Congress is moving forward on their long-standing plan to eliminate Obamacare, also known as the Affordable Care Act, or also known previously in Massachusetts as Romneycare, as in Mitt Romney, Republican Mitt Romney, who helped kickstart all of this in America. You know what? Never mind. Don't pay attention to that. Better to pretend that ACA is a liberal conspiracy to destroy society by making sure people stop dying of easily preventable diseases. The ACA is imperfect, of course. I know that firsthand as a freelancer who has moved from state to state, and each time I have to navigate a new, confusing system in order to secure insurance that is still, frankly, quite expensive. But without it, I would have no insurance at all because it would be a luxury that I couldn't even afford. And so I wouldn't be able to see a doctor for my chronic back pain or bronchitis or just routine physicals so that I stay healthy before I develop any disorders that would be extremely expensive to treat. So it's better than nothing, but it's nowhere near as good as the single-payer system that I enjoyed when I lived in England, a system that also has its problems, but by nearly every metric studied by science, it's less costly to society and more beneficial to individuals' health than any other existing system. A lot of people in the US seem to understand this as currently, more people are insured than ever before thanks to the ACA, and the majority of people who are covered via the ACA and Medicaid are happier than ever with their coverage. Despite that, though, about half of Americans still seem to dislike the ACA, possibly because they don't even understand what it is, as evidenced by the surprising number of Republican voters who want the government out of healthcare but still report loving their Medicaid coverage. There's also the fact that people have fallen for Republican talking points, as evidenced by the 85% of Tennessee Republicans who claim that they oppose Obamacare compared to the 16% of Republicans who oppose Insure Tennessee, which is the exact same thing. And among the Americans who state that they dislike Obamacare are those Americans who dislike it because they would much rather see a single-payer system, as evidenced by the surveys that show nearly 60% of Americans want a federal health care program to cover all Americans. But the Republican-led Congress has really never been about doing what the majority of the people want, which is why, in addition to trying to dismantle the ACA with no backup plan to protect the estimated 52 million people who would be affected by its removal, Paul Ryan has just announced that Congress will also, once again, be attempting to defund Planned Parenthood. They tried this a few years ago. You may recall 70% of the U.S. at the time did not want Planned Parenthood defunded. However, congressional Republicans threatened to shut down the entire government over the issue. They failed, but they are nothing if not tenacious, and maybe evil. So now they want to take away health care not just from people who secured it via the ACA, but also from the people who are getting what free services or inexpensive services they can from Planned Parenthood. Again, I have firsthand experience with this. In my early 20s, I was working a retail job with absolutely no insurance, and the only health care I could get was through Planned Parenthood, and they were awesome. They were also the only reason why I have never needed an abortion, which may seem ironic to people who want to shut them down because of the abortion services they provide, which account for about 3% of all the services they provide. But if you defund Planned Parenthood, then the research shows that the number of women with unplanned pregnancies will increase, as will the number of women dying from illegal back alley abortions, because women will still seek abortions in the same numbers even when you make them less accessible. By the way, thanks to the Hyde Amendment, no federal funds currently go to Planned Parenthood for abortion at all. So this is purely about stopping poor women from accessing basic health care like cancer screenings, birth control, gynecological exams. It's not about stopping abortion. The looming repeal of the ACA is terrifying enough and will cause unnecessary death, absolutely. But the added defunding of Planned Parenthood will throw the United States into third world nation status. So please, please, please call your representative today if you live in the United States, especially if you live in a so-called red state, and tell them that you want Americans to have continued access to basic evidence-based healthcare. Also, check out the Women's March happening January 21st. People of any gender can show up to protest what's happening to women's rights on the day that we inaugurate the first president of the United States who has gleefully stated on the record that he loves grabbing women by the pussy. If you can get to Washington, D.C., do it. Otherwise, check out womensmarch.com for information about where you might be able to join a march nearer to you.